All right, so my name is Milo Hay, coming from Denver, Colorado. I am
My,
with my co-host.
my name is Kay Campbell. I'm coming from Seattle, Washington.
We're doing a podcast for Armchair All Americans AFC West. It's called West 'em Up. So, hope you enjoy the show. Let's get started. Let's get started. Kate, what are your thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs New England Patriots game Thursday night?
Man, probably. I mean, it's just a great game, and it was probably the most talked about game this last weekend, coming into this next week or this last coming up week.
What really struck out to me is just all the weapons that Kansas City has. For Alex Smith to come out, throwing 28 of 35 for 368 yards with a 148.6 rating, that's ridiculous. That should have been Tom Brady's stat line right there.
That's what you would think if you would just saw those numbers without the picture of the quarterback, and also Kareem Hunt. 17 attempts with 148 rushing yards, with
Yeah,
also 98 receiving yards. Crazy.
that guy is ridiculous. And for them to find a replacement, essentially, what, third round of the 2017 draft?
Yeah, that's it. Third round. He came in from Toledo, I believe.
Yeah, never had a fumble either. And that opening drive of the game, he had the fumble and looked kind of down on himself. So it was hard to tell if he would recover from that essentially.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too. Opening drive in the NFL, you have a fumble, can get in your mind. But he came out, ran good and kind of looked like a receiver too, running down the field.
Exactly. Was able to just slice right up the middle and get him pretty big for that 78-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy. Looked like
Yes.
Des Bryant out there.
Exactly. And then the other thing that comes to mind with Kansas City too is just Tyreek Hill. For this guy to have, another game where he scores a 60-plus yard touchdown, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, those weapons on Kansas City is something to watch for. He ended up with 133 yards. That's insane.
Oh, definitely. So 19-yard average and had the one touchdown, but just to be targeted 8 times and catch 7 balls, that just shows you how on Alex Smith was that night.
Oh yeah, dude. Alex Smith is on a whole nother level. He just seems so comfortable in that offense after a couple years being there. He's like the focal point of the AFC when it comes to quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Well, what really stands out to me about Alex Smith is a simple fact. You look at when he was drafted, and obviously he was taken number one overall by the San Francisco 49ers.
Hmm.
And then you have Aaron Rodgers go on later on in the first round, and people shift focus towards how great Aaron Rodgers is.
Oh yeah.
Going to leave a chip on the guy's shoulder, especially getting booted out of his starting job in San Francisco, and then bringing in Mahomes, to essentially take over when he's about to leave the game, or even if he starts to struggle. So it's going to put a really big chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think too. And he didn't even have too bad of years in San Francisco before he left. It just Kaepernick had that amazing first season. So I
Yeah.
think that was premature by 49ers standpoint, but Kansas
Oh,
City got a steal.
exactly. Yeah. Other than that, that game was it was really surprising. I would say to the whole NFL community. I know I was watching the game and I was just like, Kansas City doesn't look like they're in this. They're really struggling right now, and then bam, explosion of just everything coming together for them.
Exactly. So I came back home at the start of the fourth quarter and forgot what the score was, but it was relatively close. I thought, man, it's going to be a good game, and then they just shot like a gun in the air, man. They just took off with points. Ended up scoring 42. It was crazy.
Yeah, and the last thing to touch on with Kansas City is just a simple fact. You look at their defensive play that night. 27 points, holding the Patriots to 27 points is good for any NFL team, but they were able to get to the quarterback 3 times. Justin Houston had 2 of the sacks, and it just goes to show you that New England might have a lot more problems than people put out on the table.
I think so too. And like that was the number one reason why I thought Kansas City was the best team in the AFC West last year was their defense is so strong.
Exactly, exactly. So I mean, this week they have a pretty challenging matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles, if I'm right. Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I believe so.
yeah. So I mean, they'll be playing Philadelphia at home. The Eagles, they started out great last year, but kind of fizzled off. What do you expect from this game?
This coming up game, I expect to be in an offensive battle. You have Carson Wentz, who had 2 touchdowns last week. Zach Ertz had a pretty good game with 93 yards, 8 receptions. But I think Kansas City's defense is just going to power that, even though the Eric Berry injury, which is a sad loss for them. But I think they're going to take this game easy.
Yeah, I would expect Wentz to attack that part of the field definitely, and just try to get receivers to run a quick seam route up and expose that Eric Berry injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's move on to our next game. So we have Raiders and Titans.
The Raiders and Titans, man. Yeah, I thought it was a great game for the Raiders and even the Titans, too. They're two up-and-coming teams with great offenses. But I just saw how dominant the Raiders are on offense in this game. You had Derek Carr with 262 yards. You had Beast Mode coming back finally, 76 yards, but he had a few great runs to cap him off. And I like how they targeted Amari Cooper in this too, with 13 targets, had a touchdown. So I think it was an overall great game for the Raiders offense.
Oh, definitely. So I mean, just having Marshawn Lynch on their team that releases a lot of the stress from just passing the ball so much, and that's not taking anything off of Derek Carr, who's coming off a massive injury last year, breaking his leg. But other than that, they're looking pretty good, and the defense came through when it needed to, holding Marcus Mariota to 0 touchdown passes.
Yeah, that's true. Their defense, I mean, they're kind of suspect. They take series off, it seems like, but they always come back when it matters, and you gotta respect that.
Oh, definitely so, definitely so. Yeah, pretty much. I'm looking to see them, have more of an impact this week. I think, Derek Carr is just trying to get back into rhythm and find himself and get more confident on that leg.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I was kind of suspicious of him coming back too with that injury, but he seemed like his old self. Didn't really seem to have too much rust on him. And then they have the Jets come up this week, and I think that's going to be a game where they can just, you know, do some different looks and get comfortable again.
Oh, definitely. So with the Jets, I mean, just looking at the matchup predictor right now, Oakland's favored to win it by 91.3%, and yeah, so it's pretty bad for the Jets. I mean, everybody makes their jokes about the Jets, but you even look at Josh McCown. He threw the ball 39 times, had 26 receptions,
Man,
26 passes caught by his receivers, but only for 187 yards with 2 interceptions.
yeah, man, that looks like a struggle, especially with Powell being the leading rusher with 22 yards. It just seems like they have problems in New York.
Yeah,
Seems
so
like, yeah.
definitely looking for this to be kind of a blowout game, but like you had mentioned just a moment ago, it's a time for the Raiders to really unleash what their full potential is. Maybe run the score up a little bit, show the NFL that they're not playing. They want to essentially show that they're a powerhouse and that they'll make the Super Bowl this year.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think they're a strong contender, but I think it relies on that defense, and this is a perfect opportunity for them to, showcase their talent and make some big stops. And Khalil Mack, I know he kind of had an off game last week, but he had a few big tackles. But for him to make an appearance and be the defensive player that he is of the year, actually.
Well, the great thing about a player like Khalil Mack is a simple fact that you get that guy coming up to the line, and automatically you're going to put a blocker or 3 on him. I should say 2 or more blockers on him just to stop the guy up. So that's going to open up the rest of the defense, and that's when the other guys need to really step up and get into the backfield.
That is true, yeah. And plus, it's in Oakland. You know, those fans are probably a little mad that they are planning to move to Las Vegas, so it should be pretty live this coming up Sunday over
Oh,
there.
definitely. So I would feel bad if you're a Jets fan up there in the Bay
I
Area.
think so too.
All right. So yeah, let's move on finally to the Monday night game, Broncos against the Los Angeles Chargers. So really in this game, I seen a lot of progression from the Broncos defense and Trevor Siemian as well.
Oh my gosh, dude. Trevor Siemian came out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but he definitely looked like an Alex Smith in that offense, especially in those second and third quarters. He was just dominant. Especially
Yeah,
their front line too. Anderson was running with ease. Charles was running with ease. It just looked amazing.
yeah. I mean, you look at it, and from just Charles and Anderson, they both averaged around 4 yards a carry. So I mean that's a very big positive for this team that struggled to really get the run game going last year.
Exactly, and a total of 140 yards with even Trevor Siemian looking like Michael Vick out there.
I yeah, I was
Someplace.
wow. I was shocked by that. I just seen him do that little quick, stutter step, and all of a sudden in the touchdown. I couldn't believe it. So it was definitely looking good. And as far as the pass game goes, definitely gonna be some stuff that the Broncos will need to tweak to get more balls to the more crucial guys. Benny Fowler though was looking like he would be the number one receiver that night though. Up, it looks like I might have lost Cade. Let's try to get him back on. All right. Well, I'll keep going until Cade can join us back up.
I think I'm back up in here.
All right, good. All right. So, yeah, sorry about the moment of silence. Lost a quick connection there, but I was just saying how Benny Fowler stepped up, and he really looked like he was the Broncos' number one receiver.
Oh yeah, man. He definitely stepped up too. You had Demaryius Thomas who did pretty well, dropped the ball, but came back and made a big completion down the field. Emmanuel Sanders with 6 targets. That wide receiver core looks pretty strong.
It definitely does. The one negative I can definitely take off from the Broncos game was just the 2 late turnovers.
Oh man, yeah, especially the first one. I wouldn't really count that on Simeon. Hits off
Yeah.
2 people's feet and then a lucky bounce to a Charger. But Charles has to do better carrying the ball right in the middle of the field, especially that late in the game.
Oh, definitely. So especially with a Los Angeles Chargers team that's they're in their first year in Los Angeles, so a lot of people in that area really hated that move. They just felt, hey, it hasn't been successful before. Why now? Why would you bring the Chargers here? But from what I seen with their game, I'm even impressed with what Phillip Rivers did.
Oh yeah, Phillip Rivers. I mean, you can never count the guy out. You saw even in this game's fourth quarter, he scored 14 points in 2 minutes. I mean, in a minute actually, and they always go on like these runs where they just score tons and then they just fall off. So you can never count those guys out.
Exactly. And the biggest thing was with the surprise of the Broncos rushing defense, it did pretty much put all the pressure on Phillip Rivers to start passing the ball. And, anytime you play the Chargers, you don't want Phillip Rivers to pass the ball too much. I mean, he only had 192 yards, but still.
Exactly. It seemed like he had more, but I think he just had great field positions from those turnovers to get those points. It's just that receiving core, too. You got Keenan Allen going for 5 receptions, 35 yards, a touchdown. Travis Benjamin, I think he's like the fastest player in the league. That man can just get out and go.
Yeah, you definitely have to play that guy. You have to bully him at the line or at least get a nice little drop on him to keep up with him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He takes off, and then you can't underestimate Antonio Gates. He had a subpar game for 2 receptions, 17 yards, but he's always a threat as well.
Definitely so. And with his age, how old he's getting right now in the game. I mean, he definitely has the knowledge to find those dead spots that the defense won't be in. So I'm looking forward to seeing him open things back up this year.
Oh yeah, me for sure. And I mean, the Chargers weren't even out of the game. They ended up tying the game, but what a call by the Denver's coach.
Yeah, exactly. A rookie coach freezes a rookie kicker. So.
And then the big block happens, and then it's just a victory for them. So it was a great game all around.
Yeah, definitely. So the last thing I would say about the Chargers, how long do you think Keenan Allen's going to last this year? Do you think he'll actually make a full year?
Man, yeah, he's had injuries and a problem. I mean, he's had injury problems the past few years, and I mean, I even had him on my fantasy team a couple years ago, and it was probably the worst pick I picked because he was just out the whole season. So hopefully he manages to last the whole year because he's definitely a threat, and he can definitely bring this team some touchdowns to lead to some victories.
Oh, definitely. So, and the great thing I could say about Chargers as well is you still have Mike Williams, who possibly could be back by midseason.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, they have threats in Los Angeles, so I mean, you can't count any of these teams out of the AFC West. I'd say this is the most competition in the whole NFL, this division.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell friends and colleagues that the AFC West doesn't get as much appreciation as it should, and a lot of times you hear, oh, NFC East is the toughest division. Yeah. And it past couple of years, I would say even since Manning came on to Denver, 2011, it's been the AFC West that's been the most challenging.
I think so too, and I think the rise of the Raiders as well, it brings up the competition to a whole nother level.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about the Raiders is just how they were able to build silently, and then they just had that killer year last year. And it all because of broken leg that shot down their Super Bowl hopes.
Yeah, that was a big devastation last year for the Raiders, that Week 16 against the Colts. But, looking forward to this season. Should be a good one with all these teams.
Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. All right. So this week for the Broncos, we will have them playing.
I think they play
Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. What a game.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. I know that Denver is not particularly favored to win this game. But, with Ezekiel Elliott playing, it is going to make things a lot tougher.
Mm-hmm.
But, if Dak Prescott definitely is in for a hell of a day with, the no-fly zone defense.
So, yeah, I think the Cowboys are projected to win at 55.6%. But like you were saying, you have Elliott back. You have Prescott coming to his second year. You got some good wide receivers over there. A great offense for the Cowboys, but it's also matched with a great defense with Von Miller and Aqib Talib. I believe he's still in Denver. It's just going to be a great matchup.
Oh, definitely so. And with the Chargers, they will be playing the Miami Dolphins at home, actually.
Ooh, first game in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Nice little small stadium for them. It looks like a Division 2A kind of stadium.
Really? Oh no, I had no idea where they're playing. I thought it was a Coliseum.
Yeah, it actually is what the StubHub Arena or Coliseum.
Oh wow, pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's like 24,000 seats. So
wow,
just not that much room. But I think the hardest thing to do for the Chargers this year is going to be to prove that they're the best team in Los Angeles.
Well, yeah, you got the Rams on the other side who had a crazy win against the Colts this last week. And then you have the Chargers favored 67 over the Miami Dolphins. But, the Dolphins are coming off a week where they didn't even play because of the hurricane down in Florida.
Exactly. And, maybe that gave Cutler a little bit more time to prepare. Yeah. But, you know him. He's obviously being an ex-Denver quarterback. I'll be first to say it. That guy was sometimes not the greatest quarterback.
Just, he has those has those weeks where he just goes off for 400 yards, and he has those weeks where he goes off for 4 interceptions.
Exactly. And I think in this one, I honestly do believe that the Chargers have more of a chance to win this one than they did in Denver, and they probably could have won the one this past Monday in Denver, but obviously, nice little play and to slide inside and block the field goal. Yeah. So I lost Kate again. I will try to get him back on here soon. So yeah, it's been an interesting year already for the AFC West. The Chargers are the only team that lost the game in the AFC West, and of course they played the Denver Broncos. It sounds like Kate is back on with me now.
Yeah, I'm back.
I was just highlighting how every other AFC West team except for the Chargers won their game this past week, and yeah, it's going to be another tough year for the AFC West. And I can honestly say, obviously, the Raiders probably are favorite to win it. But the Chiefs with that performance up in Foxborough, that might have catapulted them up.
Oh yeah, I think the Chiefs are honestly, in my opinion, gonna win the AFC West. I mean, they beat the Raiders twice last year, and I think they're the best overall team. But you can't take away the fact that the Raiders have an explosive offense and all that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Raiders too, with the future move to Las Vegas, they definitely are going to play a lot of their games a lot tougher. It's something to give the fan base before they leave.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think they have a chip on their shoulder from the past, plus like 12 plus years that they had a losing season, and they want to bring a championship back to Oakland in these next. I think they have 3 seasons left in Oakland, so I think they're hungry for a championship.
Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. So, who would be your prediction for breakout AFC West player this week?
AFC West breakout player, I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt again from the Broncos. Coming in with week 1 like that, he's going to have to step up his game again. But I think against the Cowboys and that defense they have over there, I think he'll shine this week.
Good. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But I'll take the other another player, and I'll go ahead and say Keenan Allen. I believe he is back healthy 100%. He's going to run the field against Miami and have at least 8 receptions for 100 yards and possibly 2 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the best receivers in the league. He's just been overlooked since the injuries he's had, so I can see that happening as well.
Exactly. So, yeah, that just about wraps up our show. Hope you enjoyed, and we will be back on next week to highlight, this weekend's games and who was the breakout players and other news of injuries and all that.
So, yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Hope you enjoyed. So long from the AFC West podcast.
All right. Have a good one.